What's up, y'all? This is going to be a video on how to align your chain on a CB500F or R, and it's probably the same for a CB500X, using a Motion Pro chain alignment tool. So first you're going to need to get it up on a track stand. Then you're going to want to move the chain guard up out of the way. So you're going to need a 5mm to get this bolt that's right here, 5mm hex wrench, to get that out. Once you move the bolt, you'll just want to lift it up out of the way and it should stay. First, we need to measure the drive chain slack, and as per the manual, because it's different per different bikes, we're going to do it with the wheel on the ground. And as you can see here, it should be adjusted to 40mm or 1/5/8, and it has a tolerance of, as we can see here in the manual, 1/3/8 to 1/3/4 or 35 to 45mm. And as per the manual, it looks like we do not pull the chain down. It is from a standing position and we lift up. What you'll need is a tape measure or a tape ruler, and what I like to use is a tape measure because you can line up your starting point. As you can see, I'm using the 3-inch mark. I lined it up in the middle of the chain approximately, and as you can see, I have it right here lined up with this rivet like that, and I lift it up just like this so it's taut. Take the measurement, and I have 1 5/8 inch, but I'll go ahead and make adjustments back and forth for the sake of the video. So first we're going to need our 19mm socket. We're going to put over here on the left. You're going to need a breaker bar or a ratchet over here, or you can use the wrench. And then we're going to take our 5/16 wrench, and if you have an aftermarket exhaust, I'm not sure if you can do this with a stock one, put it over here in this angle, and then it'll brace against this when you twist the other side. So we're going to go ahead and loosen that up. You only need to loosen it up enough so these are loose, then you'll be able to make adjustments. Next, we're going to break this lock nut, the one in front, loose with our 12mm wrench. That did it. And the other side, remember it's always lefty-loosey. You don't need to remove the lock nut. You only need to roll it back enough so you can make adjustments. And now we're going to be adjusting the chain slack, and as your reason for probably doing this is you probably have too much slack. The chain has lengthened, and you're going to want to grab your 14mm wrench, and we're going to be tightening this adjuster nut. Therefore, the wheel will move back and tighten the chain. So what you'll want to do is exactly the same on both sides. Here we're going to turn it 1/4 of the way, and we're going to go do that exactly the same on the other side. Next, you'll want to grab your Motion Pro chain alignment tool, and you'll want to set it up in this direction with the screw on the exterior here, because as you can see, if you have a stock sprocket, we have a ridge here, and that will interfere with trying to get it to sit flat. And so what I do, a little trick here, is I'll use one of the links from here to here, and I'll set it flat on top, and you'll be able to get it to set up nicely. It still screws onto the ridge, but at least it'll be nice and flat, and the back side will be nice and flat also, so it'll line up. So once you've made your adjustments on both sides exactly the same, equally, turn the wrench a half, a whole, whatever you think you'll need, you'll want to get your big screwdriver and wrap your cloth around it like so. Move the wheel forward so the tool is just barely touching the chain. Stick this in there into a sprocket, and I'll need to get into position here. And you'll want to rotate it backwards, rotate the wheel backwards, and you'll see what happens here. It pulls both sides nice and tight. And this is the trick. Otherwise, you'll never get it to, when you put the locking nut down, you'll never get it to stay on both sides. So you need to put the screwdriver into the sprocket and roll it backwards, and it'll be nice and tight on both sides. And then you can go ahead and roll it forward, pull your special tool out, and then check the alignment, and be easy when you roll it forward. And what you want to do is you'll want to look right down this, and as you'll see, I purposely misaligned it so you can see that the tool, the rod is actually pointing off to the right. It's completely misaligned. A tip if you've gotten way out of alignment is to take off the locking nuts and count the threads up to the adjuster nut and make sure they are matching on both sides. This should get you in the ballpark, and you'll be able to use the chain alignment tool and the arrows on the side of the swing arm to fine tune your alignment. I'll be explaining the arrows in the next clip. So now that we have the chain perfectly aligned with our chain alignment tool, we want to verify that by checking the arrows over here on the side and the little groove. Make sure that matches the other side almost exactly. And then we'll want to go ahead and grab our 15/16 and slide that in here, which will catch under there. We want to make sure we have it nice and tight. So we're going to stick our screwdriver in there and roll back the wheel. And then we're going to go ahead and tighten this up with our hand, with our 19mm. Tighten that up. Alrighty. Once that's nice and tight, go ahead and roll it forward. Once we got the bolts tightened down on the side, we'll want to go ahead and check our alignment again. And then the next step you'll want to do is go ahead and put a 14mm on the adjusting nut to make sure it doesn't move. And then you'll want to tighten up the locking nut and do your best to make sure that the adjusting nut does not move at all. These should be nice and firm on both sides. And if you want, you can check your wheel alignment with the Motion Pro again. So there's two things I really want to go over again real quickly. Is whenever you're tightening the locking bolts or setting the alignment with the adjuster nuts, make sure that you use the screwdriver to make sure everything is nice and tight to the swing arm. Secondly, you'll probably want to, several times during the process, make sure this is right. I wouldn't over tight the screw holder, because that kind of shifts the thing, the tool. So make sure it's sitting nice and flat and against the back of the sprocket there. So definitely want to check that, because that's extremely important. Lastly, what you'll want to do is you'll need to go ahead and torque the bolts down and the nuts down. So as you can see right here in the manual itself, the rear axle nut right here is 65 foot-pounds or 88 Newton meters, and the locking nut back here is 15 foot-pounds or 21 Newton meters. Once you do that, you go ahead and put it back down on the kickstand, check the chain slack again, and if it's not correct, it's not within the tolerances, you'll need to go ahead and put it back up on the stand, loosen everything up again, make the adjustments, and then check it again back down on the stand. It's a little tedious, but eventually you'll get it. Alright, that's it from Spitfire 500. I really hope this video helped you out a lot. If it did, go ahead and give it a big like. If you have any comments or suggestions for anyone else doing the project, go ahead and drop them down below. See ya.